What's going on, guys? Joel Pal CHH. We're back here today to talk about Halloween Ends, the final Blumhouse installment. Yeah, it's been interesting revisiting these Blumhouse films. And it was interesting that I actually bumped up Halloween 2018 a little bit. I thought the music was the best out of the three. And I also thought that Halloween Kills was somewhat of an accidental horror classic. It was a bloodbath slasher classic that I think a lot of people would love, and honestly has a lot of the traits that I would see from those old 80s heyday slasher films. Halloween Ends, on the other hand, is a very different kind of film, much less a very different kind of Halloween film. So my eager anticipation got the better of me. I was so excited to watch this film again, and I finally did. So Halloween Ends takes a big risk with having a new leading character, much less in the final installment of the series. It's not like we got Corey Cunningham in Halloween 2018 and we saw him all the way through the ends. No, we were introduced to him from this film. It's an interesting scene where you see him babysitting and there's a tragic accident. For me, it honestly set the tone for probably the darkest opening out of all three of these films. It was very surreal to see a kid fall to his demise in the beginning. We're then treated to a cool Halloween opening with an homage to Halloween 3's Season of the Witch with their kind of glowing text that they use. Something that I didn't really notice until seeing it on the internet a few days after the movie came out. Went right over my head, but looking back, I actually appreciate that now. Subtle, but very cool. Alright, so this movie takes a lot of different twists and turns. We see Laurie Strode portraying this kind of normal person. She's given up on trying to fight Michael. She is living her life. She's got her hair done nice. She's baking pies. She's carving pumpkins. She's hanging out with Kyle Richards in the kitchen. I do like Jamie Lee Curtis in this film. I have an issue with her character in this film, but we'll get into that at the very end when I discuss the things I don't like. In terms of the characters, I thought Annie Matichik's character was good. She's got somewhat of a troubled life too, but for the most part, she's doing her best to, try to get through it. The development of Corey's character, I thought played out pretty cool. I really like seeing him go through that bad event in the beginning of the film, and you can really see that he's troubled, and he doesn't get much relief at home because he's got a really overbearing mom too. So you kind of feel for the guy. He gets bullied. He doesn't really know what to do, how to act, what to say, so he just kind of sticks to himself. He does have a little bit of solace, though, in his dad. You learn that his dad is the guy that runs the garage he works at, and you really take to the dad a lot, too. He's probably my favorite supporting character in the film. Plus, any guy that goes to work late at night to hang out and watch Jean-Claude Van Damme's Hard Target on his computer, it's got brownie points with me. Alright, so where is Michael, you might ask? Well, let's go down to that Haddonfield, sewer pipe. And no, Pennywise the Clown's not in there. Okay, so seeing Michael in the cave at first was the most shocking thing to me. Because, what is he doing in here? Why is he so weak? Why can he barely move around? But let's talk about the visuals of this cave for a second. To me, there's no doubt of all three films, visually, this is the coolest stuff that the Blumhouse trilogy ever did. Seeing these really cool blue hues hit this, underground sewer cave and seeing Michael in there was, I thought, just visually awesome. I loved it so much, and I loved it seeing it on my big plasma screen just the other day when I was watching this in here. The lights were out. It was great. Visually, the biggest brownie points to that. I loved it. But it's interesting. Michael doesn't kill Corey. He chokes him, and it's almost like he looks at him to say, I see myself in you. You've got that blackness. It's the first time we see Michael really go for it when trying to have, I guess, a sidekick, if you will. At least that's the way I interpreted it. Corey obviously is going to go through a darker spell and falls victim to this evil that is basically overtaking the town of Haddonfield, where he is essentially the germ of it spreading worse and worse. One of the most shocking scenes of the film, we see them take that cop down to that cave where he's going to basically get revenge for trying to hit on his girl. And this is where we see Michael stab this guy and get this jolt through his body. And if you look at Halloween Kills, he is a monster. He is lifting firefighters up by spearing them. He's decimating bodies left and right. He's throwing people around. And I feel like being in this cave, he's gotten less opportunity to kill, and it weakens him. It's almost like he is not human and more of this entity that grows in strength every time he gets the ability to take life. It's almost as if he absorbs the souls the way Freddy Krueger does. A very different kind of take on the character I think people were probably expecting, but one that, gotta be honest, I think is pretty cool. So we see him jolt up and he gets this, almost like sensation through his body where he feels alive again. This is where the movie really starts to pick up and we see Corey and Michael go lay waste to more victims throughout the town of Haddonfield. We also see a scene where Corey goes into the cave and takes Michael's mask himself to kind of do things his own way. This is a scene I have a comment on later in the video, but this is where things really start to take some interesting turns. The scene where we see Corey at the junkyard where his dad worked, laying waste to all those teenagers that were bullying him from before, It was a scene that I quite honestly enjoyed, and seeing the unfortunate demise of the dad really bummed me out. You know, they made me feel for him for sure, because I really liked him. We even see Corey take out his mom. Even though they had a troubled relationship, this lets you know that he really has taken the darkest path you possibly could take, and he has let evil take over. Which I feel is the overall premise of this film. Is it really more than Michael Myers, but it's really about how evil can take over a town, and if it's not stopped or taken care of, it can just really just become, you know, the worst thing ever. That's the way I kind of see Halloween Ends. So the culmination of this film where Michael fights not only Corey, but Michael, I thought played out pretty good. You know, a little bit of a wild way to get to Laurie and Michael at the end. I thought the action was pretty good, and there was some great drama and suspense built in there. Once we see Michael come back into his own, you get that kind of yeah moment. It's almost like Jason Goes to Hell, where you kind of got to earn Jason by the end of the movie. Well, you kind of got to earn Michael Myers at the end of this movie as well. Man, there are a lot of things visually I love about this film. There's a style to Halloween Ends that something about it really draws me in. Whether it be the characters of Corey, or the darkness and the more, I don't know, more of a emotional vibe to this film that you get, there's something that just draws me right in. But there are some things that I would have changed about Halloween Ends. So the biggest thing for me is this. With Laurie's character, even though I really like her in this film, and it's probably my favorite Laurie you get out of the 3 movies, I can't help but feel that they did it backwards. I can only go on how this would make me feel. If I was attacked by this guy and he was then locked behind bars for year after year after year, I think eventually I'll be able to kind of move on and handle things the way she does in Ends. But once he goes missing, that's probably when I would put the fences up and start practicing my shooting in the backyard every day. So I'm always going to feel like that was backwards to me. But I do know that there's an argument that it didn't matter that she did all that because evil, aka Michael, is going to come for you anyway. I understand that. I just don't agree with it. The other big thing I have, and this is a very serious vote of contention, and probably something that not a lot of people will agree with me on, is I feel that if they're going to make the overarching theme of this movie be evil itself, then Corey should have taken out Michael in that cave and assumed the role of Michael Myers. I know that would have been a big, big difference in this film, and definitely wouldn't have given us the Michael-Laurie ending that a lot of people were probably looking forward to, but this would have been a big statement that I think would have been something that I would have really appreciated. I thought it was for sure coming in the film when it was happening, but sure enough, he just grabbed his mask and went on. I find it a little odd to see Michael just let it happen. He didn't really fight back. So where does Halloween Ends fall with the 3 for me? Halloween Kills is probably the Halloween film that I need, but Ends is the one that I want. It's daring, it's different, it does things completely out of the realm of what you would expect, but there are these things about it that I'm just so drawn into. The visuals of that cave, the sound of the film, the look of the film, the emotion of the film. There's something about it that's really inviting to me, and I can't help but like it. I know that this is a very divisive film, and it's weird that I find myself just really liking the film, not necessarily being in love with it, but it's certainly a feeling that maybe a little bit of lust. Something about Ends, every time I've seen it, I kind of liked it a little bit more and more. And it may be the only Blumhouse one that I'll revisit before Halloween comes. It's different, but there's something about it. I wish I could almost put it into words better, but sometimes it's just that X factor you can't explain. So guys, I gotta say, I do enjoy Halloween Ends, and I think it's my favorite out of the 3. How do you guys feel about it? I'm interested to see if it's changed for you guys at all over the years. Maybe you like it even less than you did when you first saw it. Maybe you like it more, or maybe you just hate the damn film. Either way, let me know, guys. I appreciate you watching this video, and guess what? We're going to revisit Rob Zombie's Halloween very soon. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys next time. Huge giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind the scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.